Good morning, Kala, Christine, and Aisha. Aisha, how do you pronounce it? Oh,
Aisha.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. What was that?
Was saying good morning, and you pronounced it correctly, Aisha.
Aisha. Okay, great. Thank you. I want to make sure I get it right. As you can imagine, sometimes people butcher my name, but shouldn't be too difficult, but you never know. We'll just wait another couple minutes, let people trickle in. But this slide deck will be available online after as well. Well, as a recording of this on our YouTube page as well. Good morning, Darcel.
Good morning.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to attempt to present this in Teams. Let's see what happens. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, do you see just the presentation or is there extra
Yeah.
stuff on the sides?
Just the presentation. I see.
Fantastic. Technology is working today. All right, great. So my name is Chris Firehawk. I am with the City Department of Planning. I'm the Casino Local Impact Fund Program Manager. And we are here to discuss something that's brand new for CLIF. And we'll get into it now. So what is CLIF? The Casino Local Impact Fund supports projects and programs in the South Baltimore Gateway District, and we'll talk about all this a little bit more in depth as we go through. The funds come from the slot machine revenue, or as they call it, the video lottery terminal revenue, also known as slot machines. That it actually comes from all three casinos in Central Maryland. So all three casinos put it into one bucket, and they take that bucket and they split it out into the jurisdictions surrounding each of the casinos. They're called local impact grants because they are meant to be spent locally. They are intended to improve community development, economic growth, infrastructure services, quality of life. Again, we'll get into more details. And it needs to provide a clear public benefit to the residents, workers, students, etc. in South Baltimore. And again, this is a brand new process. We've never really had a very sort of open process. It's mainly been conversations that we have with neighborhoods and with people who work in our neighborhoods about what the priorities are, conversations with the CDCs, and our agency partners, most importantly. So this time around, we're sort of opening it up a bit more to have the ability for the organizations representing our neighborhoods to present funding requests. And that'll be through an online process, or also be a hard copy process for those who are not as comfortable using online. And we'll get into that as we get closer to launch. And the funding must align with the goals of the South Baltimore Gateway Master Plan. And we'll get into that just a little bit, because we could do 3 or 4 sessions on that alone. We already got the question of what is the difference between CLIF and the South Baltimore Gateway Partnership. Baltimore's a little unique from the 2 other jurisdictions in Central Maryland, in that we decided to take our third of the video lottery terminal funds and split it in half. So that half of it goes with a quasi-governmental entity that can move a little bit more quickly than the city government does. If any, as any of you all know, city government has a lot of checks and balances, a long budgeting process, a lot of auditing process, all meant to protect the public money, but it also means it takes us a while to do things. CLIF can be much more responsive than most general funds, which is a beauty of it. So again, we were sort of two wings of the same bird, if you will, flying in the same direction, doing sort of slightly different things. And the Gateway Partnership has their own funding procedures, and you can definitely visit their website for information on that. This is the South Baltimore Gateway District, as mandated by Maryland law. You can see the list of neighborhoods there as well. Your organization doesn't necessarily have to be in the district. It just has to be, the project or the program has to benefit the members of the district. For instance, Healthy Neighborhoods, they do a lot of work in South Baltimore with CLIF funding, but they're located elsewhere. We also have an interactive map, so you can search your properties. That's available on our website and in the slide deck moving forward. So this is just a glance at the process. We'll get more into detail into all the different dates. But this is the basic. We release the Notice of Funding Opportunity, or NOFO, on June 1st. We're going to open up the request submission process on July 1st. You have about a month to submit it. We'll have a couple technical assistants, actually 4, or it'll probably end up being more like 5 technical assistants sessions during that time. If you have any questions about how to state something or how to format something, we'll also be able to email and so on and so forth. We will then conduct a review, make sure everyone is eligible, make sure projects are eligible, that they have a clear budget, that they are, meet our goals, and then provide recommendations to the mayor's office, and then they will approve the final budget. At that point, we do have to present it to the local development council, which is our state oversight for their review and input, and then it becomes part of the normal city process. And there will be plenty of time for, yes, Joanna.
Could you clarify about the review and budget process? Are you saying potentially we would learn if the application was successful in the spring of 2027?
So what I would say is that it officially becomes, we won't give you an award letter until it has been approved by the mayor's office the second time around. So that would be sometime probably in January, February, March, just depending on when they're able to finalize it. But then grant agreements would not be executed until July 1st of 2027. So you would learn basically. We will have an information Q&A with the local development council in November, where we invite people who have that we want to award funding to speak to the local development council directly. If they have any questions about your program, they'll provide it ahead of that meeting. And then the December vote meeting is when they will vote whether or not they want to endorse all or part of our proposal. And then the mayor can accept or sort of politely decline to accept any changes that they want to make. It is the mayor's ultimate decision. So you would find out, probably in about January, I would say, is when we could say, yes, we're good to go.
Thank you.
Yep. So what can be submitted? Projects, programs, capital improvements, cultural spaces, grant administration, planning efforts, organizational support. If you're a nonprofit and you don't have enough money to pay your staff and you want to say, hey, we need money just to do the things we need to do, that's completely acceptable. I've been the executive director of nonprofits. I understand you need to keep the lights on, and not everyone wants to do that. They like funding things and stuff that they can slap their name on. And then homeowner or home buyer assistance programs. We are current for FY27, we're going to have H&I run a program for the entire district. I anticipate that they will probably apply to do that as well. That does not preclude other people from saying that, hey, we have different programs that we would like to run and put out their own proposal, and we can go through review and discussion, and we can see what makes the most sense. So whatever you're looking to do, I would say put it out there. Again, this is not for individuals to say, hey, I need a new roof or something like that. That would have to be a program that would be developed and then would have its own eligibility criteria and evaluation and award process. So not for individuals, but we are beginning to post those programs on our website that you see there. We already have started being a little bit more, just doing a better job of saying, these are the programs we fund and this is how you apply for them to individuals. So again, who can submit a funding request? Nonprofits, 501c3 or similar, quasi-governmentals are certainly eligible. If you have like a friends of group, friends of a park or a neighborhood association that doesn't have a 501c3 status, you certainly can apply with a nonprofit partner. whether they're just simply a fiscal agent or fiscal sponsor, or if they're more involved in the actual execution of it. Either way works out. If I don't have a list of fiscal sponsors. Honestly, it's a lot of organizations don't love doing fiscal sponsorships just because they are kind of they can be tedious. But you would need a fiscal sponsor if you don't have a 501c3 or similar status. And if you have questions about that, we can take that under consideration and just submit that. Schools, faith-based organizations, and then of course Baltimore City agencies or other public agencies serving the district. Lead requester, and by lead requester, again, I mean, if you are the nonprofit, you're the lead requester. If you are a neighborhood association using a fiscal sponsor, the fiscal sponsor would be the one who has to meet these requirements. And basically, you have to provide all your legal documentation, certificate of good standing, stuff like that. We'll go into that extra. For-profit companies can participate. If you want to build 100 widgets to hand out in the neighborhood and you want to buy it through a company, that's fine. It's just that everything must be clearly spelled out in the budget, and they must provide direct benefit to the South Baltimore Gateway District. So who cannot apply? Again, individual residents. And we may fund an organization, an agency, or partner to administer assistance. So it may be that 5 or 6 people apply to do pretty much the similar things in different neighborhoods. Instead of us writing 5 different grants to 5 different organizations, we may say, okay, we're going to give this to ABC, government grant clearinghouse, and they're going to administer it on our behalf and make sure everything's done in that entity. And again, residents apply through that program, and the program administrator would set the application steps and eligibility rules. Any questions so far on who is eligible to apply? That's a lot to take in. Eligible of uses funds. These are our 9 goals that were set forth in the South Baltimore Gateway Master Plan. If you have
Chris,
a long, yes.
I'm sorry, the slide did not progress. We're still looking at the eligible requesters. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. There we go. So these are the 9 goals. They pretty much cover pretty much everything that's worth doing. Pretty much everything can fall into quality of life, if you really want to get around to it. But again, there's much more information on our website about this, and this will be available later, but these are just some of the types of programs that we have run in the past or currently. This will give you all a little bit of opportunity to look at that. Does anyone have any questions about the goals? No? Okay, great. If you have a nice long weekend, the South Baltimore Gateway Master Plan, if I remember correctly, is like 264 pages or something. So you can read through the whole thing. But there is an executive summary, which is only about 70 pages or something. So funding restrictions and eligible uses. Again, without district benefit, anything that's just, it's normal Baltimore City, regulations. Nothing partisan, nothing explicitly religious. I mean, we do fund like St. Veronica's Church Summer Academy. That's a great program that we are very happy to fund and very excited to keep working with our faith-based community to provide services. Costs already fully paid by another source. Obviously, costs incurred before the agreement is executed, unless there's just really some very weird extenuating circumstances. We would, we want to be flexible and can consider those. It says requires additional approval. I think that wording, I should redo that, but basically we would just need to know a bit more about what it is you're proposing if it has some of these elements to it. But again, general operating support, happy to do it. Just need to know more about the sustainability plan or how that looks in terms of your overall organizational budget. Any questions about that? No? Okay, great. So again, we'll go a little bit more in depth in some of the examples here. Community development, home buying, homeowner repairs, home buying incentives. We back when the fund first started, we allocated $50,000 each to the neighborhoods in the area for community enhancement projects, and they could do whatever they wanted to with it. And I live in Berry Circle. We just had some of our brickwork for our sidewalks redone, had some tree trimming for some dead trees done, pocket park enhancements, smaller scale things could be good community enhancement projects. Community partner support. We are running a community partner support grant program for FY27. More details will be on that. And again, that's mainly for CDCs, main streets, people doing community development, capacity building, and then up to 50, grant planning as well. Housing code enforcement, again, it's more of an agency thing, but if there are certain things that your organization can do to help address blight and vacancy, you can certainly propose it. If you say, hey, my organization wants to buy these 3 homes and flip them and sell them to low-income first-time home buyers, that's a perfect thing that you could apply for. Any questions on community development? Okay. Cultural spaces and placemaking. FY27, we are running a cultural spaces support grant through the Baltimore National Heritage Area. And that's going to be a great way for organizations and neighborhoods to do small scale placemaking, and whether it's renovating existing artwork or putting in new artwork. They'll be running that for FY26. We'll also open it up for other organizations to apply for FY27. And yeah, so again, if we have 5 or 6 different people that come to us and say, hey, we want to do these different projects, we may say, okay, great, we'll fund you directly, or we may say it's easier for you to go through a clearinghouse or an administrative partner on the city's behalf. Community arts and events. We fund the Cherry Hill Arts and Music Festival for the 4th of July every year, providing support for security, lighting, ADA accessibility, some of those things they need to operate. Happy to support more community events and parties and block parties, anything that builds community and provides a place for people to get together and enjoy life. Any questions on cultural spaces and placemaking? No. I think I just said FY26 that we're running the program with BNHA, but it's FY27. So we're getting ready to launch that. Youth education workforce, again, we've for a long time we have supported Catholic Charities summer Head Start programs in Pigtown, Cherry Hill, and Lakeland. St. Veronica Summer Academy. We have done tutoring support in the past for schools. They then got ARPA and other funding to do. Workforce, we fund the Employment Connection Center, and they have programs there where you can, we'll pay for training. If you have training you want to do, we have accounts for that. And then we can also We also have a program through them where people can get free lift rides to training opportunities to remove that barrier. Youth employment, we happy to support YouthWorks. We're doing about $500,000 in that in FY27. If you have a program that you'd like to run, to train young people how to use computers or do coding or something, that would be something that could be eligible as well. Any questions on that? Oh, and I'm not advancing the slides. I'm sorry. Sorry, it's really hard for me to read it on my screen, so I've got to look at my other one. So I apologize. Any questions on youth education or workforce? No. Okay. Health, wellness, and greening projects. We fund the Harbor Hospital Produce RX program, which provides a dietary nutritionalist and food boxes for people with chronic conditions such as diabetes, blood pressure issues, etc. Great results from that program. Homelessness strategies, we fund the Mayor's Office of Homeless Services, food access initiatives. We have done, we did a Lyft grocery access pilot program back pre-COVID. Clean and Green, we have our Clean Core program that we fund for Westport, Cherry Hill, and Lakeland. And then the Gateway Partnership actually also has their own Clean Core program as well that they run. We also fund extra DPW crew that does extra trash can or corner can maintenance and dumping. And we have traditionally done marine debris removal along the Middle Branch. And we are launching a new initiative to be announced soon along that. That's going to also put some prevention into there as well to keep trash from entering the Middle Branch. This is especially important as we develop these large parks. There's going to be a massive public park along Westport waterfront that's due to break ground this summer, as well as we're going to be looking to add funds for the Middle Branch park as well to beautify that and make it more enjoyable. Again, parks and public spaces, we're putting a lot of money into Solo Gibbs to redo that park. Florence Cummins is getting a redo. And then also smaller scale interventions as well. Lakeland Park has a section that has a really rusty old backstops and fences and benches that are really a hazard. Community said, we already have another, baseball diamond that we're using. We have a lot of people who want to play soccer. Can we do something about that? So, we're paying to have all that stuff ripped down and new sod put in. And again, partnering with the Gateway Partnership, they're doing a lot of programming there, and they're going to buy the goals and the nets for that as well. And we're also partnering with Rec and Parks to develop a much more comprehensive plan for FY28 to address some of the maintenance issues in our parks. But anything that, I would say if anyone's looking to do sports recreation programming, that really is being handled by the Gateway Partnership. So I would talk to them about that. We handle more of the physical environment through CLIF, whereas they have a much better relationship with the programming and partnership with organizations providing sports opportunities in South Baltimore. Any questions on those? No? Great. Okay, moving right along. So we don't have a scoring sheet to share right now. I think it's still in development. But basically what we're going to look for is alignment with our goals. the community impact. Those are the two real big ones. And then, of course, we'll look at the feasibility. Is an organization, do they have the capability? Is a feasible project? Are they ready to implement? Does the budget make sense? If they have other funding that they're bringing in, is that solid? What's the status of that? And then the equity considerations. And so again, it's the process for full accountability and transparency will be to say the need, and here's the solution, provide the benefit to community, and then how do we measure the impact? That's the cycle that we'll look to make sure that every program and project lays out ahead of time and then addresses as we move forward. Does anyone have any questions about what we'll be looking for in the review process?
Chris, I guess I have a question about the feasibility and readiness. Given the lengthy time frame of when funds will be available, are you looking for all other funding to be available for the program, or can it be acceptable that we are also simultaneously requesting funding from other sources that hasn't yet been committed? How are you going to treat that?
That's a great question. That's a specific question, that's going to be on the funding request that will ask, what will you do if all this is only partially funded? What are your plans? And there may be there will have to be some contingencies based on that, because we understand completely that different funding opportunities have different timelines. So it would just be something that we would have to have basically be laid out clearly to say, okay, we're going to award this funding provisionally. And the thing with CLIF funding is it doesn't go away at the end of every fiscal year. It gets recycled back into the program. It doesn't just disappear into the general budget. So we just sort of recycle things that don't end up happening to just be able to increase the budget for the following year. So we're comfortable doing that. If something looks like it's got legs and it's really we really want it to happen, and we just need to sort of hope for the best, then we're happy to consider that and recommend it for funding.
Okay, thank you. And is there a possibility also that you could partially fund a project, or is it all or nothing, whatever the request is?
Matching funds are great. I think they'll probably be.
I'm sorry, I mean, if we ask you for $50,000, could you say, well, we're actually going to give you 25,000?
So that, again, that sort of goes back to the question, what will happen if we only partially fund? And it may be something where if we say, what will you do if we only fund it 50%? And if you say, if you only fund it 50%, we will be able to cover it with operating funds or, general funds. Or you may say that we won't be able to move forward at all. And then we would just sort of take that into consideration.
Okay. But there's not and then to your other piece that you started to say about matching funds, there's not a formal requirement for a certain level of match.
No, you can, it's going to be 100% funded. We're very happy to do that. But we're also very happy to share them.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Anyone else? Okay, great. So equity, these are the 4 pillars of equity that the Department of Planning operates under: structural, procedural, distributional, and transgenerational. And so I'll let you all sort of read about that. You can also find out more about that on the planning website. It's just, again, it's something that sometimes it's very obvious. Sometimes it's sort of like, why am I even saying this very obvious thing? Some things it's a little bit more nuanced, but that'll just be something that we'll ask you to spell out in the application as well. Basically, who benefits, how do they benefit? And how does that strive towards equity in our district as far as we can affect it? Any questions there? Okay, great. So yeah, what the funding request form will ask for, just basically who is the who's requesting it, if they have a fiscal sponsor, the amount requested, total project cost, a plain language scope of work. Tell your story. What's the story of why this is important and why it should happen? What is the need that's being met? How's everyone benefiting? And how have you, gotten community input? Or as you move forward and developing the finer aspects of this as we prepare to launch, how will you develop community input as well? So if you're a neighborhood association, if it's simply that, we're going to stand up an ad hoc committee to oversee this made up of our board members, or is it going to be the president of the neighborhood association will oversee it and provide updates and conversation with the neighborhood at each meeting in the lead up. Whatever it is, how you plan to make sure that the voices of the community are being heard in the development of this. Just the basic details. What are you calling it? What's the name for it? Where is it going to affect? What type of project it is? Is it a capital, project where you're building something? Is it a program that you're going to run for a one-off? Is it a continuation of a program? And which CLIF goal it aligns with? Again, scope, the timeline, what partners you're going to be using, contractors if you've already identified one, or if you know that you're going to have to hire a mason or a carpenter. You just can lay that out, who it is that you're planning to use to do this. And then that needs to be also reflected, not too fine of a detail. We'll provide guidance on how detailed we want the budget to be. But basically a basic line item budget, what funds you have to bring to it. And then we'll also require some sort of performance metrics, and that'll be different for different projects. If you are saying we want to run a program to provide, tutoring services to third graders, if you are saying this funding will provide tutoring services for 20 third graders, we're going to run 20 sessions. And our goal is that 75% of the 20 who we enroll will complete at least 75% of the sessions, whatever it is, whatever the goal is, so that we can just have an accountability framework. So support letters are definitely helpful. We don't require them, but the more community support you can show, the better. And we'll provide more details on that as well. Any other questions on what the funding request form will ask for? Oh, great. Required documents checklist. This is not a comprehensive list, but this is basically just some of the things that will be required. Again, we went over a lot of this, but a lot of it's going to, articles of incorporation, letter of good standing. Again, if you have letters of support or community input, provide those. And then if you have prior CLIF funding, then that will also be something that we'll look at. Have you met the obligations of that and reported properly? Yes, Joanna.
I have a question about the budgets given the school system. So if we have an individual school that is applying, what do you want to see?
Well, we don't need to see the whole school's budget. It's just more of
So you're looking for the project budget
The
as versus the
project budget.
organizational
I mean,
budget?
we do for nonprofit organizations, we do want to see their overall budget. And some basic information. If you're a nonprofit with a $5 million unrestricted endowment, then why do you need this money? Is a question we might ask. But generally speaking, no, we don't. I don't want to see the whole school system's budget. So yeah, that's a good point, and I'll make sure that that's sort of clarified in the final language. So thank you for that.
And I guess if you could also clarify that an individual school does not have its own tax ID number. We operate one single ID number for all of our schools, but then individual schools can receive funding.
Right. Yeah. City agencies, there will be separate. The way the form's set up, it'll send you in different directions based on your responses to certain questions. So if you're a city agency, it's not going to ask you for that. It's going to send you down a different branch. So yeah, good question. Any other questions about required documents? Budget and conflict of interest requirements. Again, the budget should be clear, show exactly what what the money is going to be spent on. Explain the matches, leverage, other funding sources, disclosures. If you're the president of the neighborhood association and you're asking for money to build a new home on a vacant lot, but you're also own a construction company and you're going to be the one doing the work, like that would be something we would need to know ahead of time. Or if it's your a family member, or how you plan to put out the actual work to be done to a contractor. We just need to make sure that is spelled out clearly as well. And again, make the funding flow easy to understand. Any questions about that? Reporting and payment basics. So CLIF operates on a quarterly reporting timeline. So if you have, if it's a project that's going to start October 15th, your Q1 report is basically going to be, this is what we're doing to prepare. It's not going to ask you for, you're not going to be required to fill in all of the boxes of all of the things if you're still in preparation mode. If you're doing a single project and we give you the money on August 1st, and then you finish on August 20th, and you submit your invoice, and we pay it, you're done. You're not going to do a Q2, Q3, Q4. That's not going to be required. But what we will want to see is the progress update, a narrative, spending update, any performance measures if it's an active program, the invoice, if requesting payment. And you don't have to wait for the quarter to end to submit an invoice, but some people do like to go on that cadence. And then again, final or a year-end update once the year closes out. Payments are generally reimbursement based. If your organization does not have the capital to front the money, then we can talk about ways that we can do a forgivable loan or something of that nature. to front the money. It's just, it takes a bit more doing with legal and audits. It can be done. And we may also, again, partner with a third party grant administrator to oversee that as well. And final payment may be held until final reporting is complete. If we're not getting a report of what was done, then the final payment may be held. That's not common, but is expected. And all of this will be, laid out ahead of time. It will be in the grant agreement. There will be no confusion there. And we don't want to be onerous. Again, a lot of these will be neighborhood associations with volunteer people doing this, but we do have an obligation to be transparent and forthright with the public on how we're spending the money. So, and again, we focused on the progress, the outcomes, and making sure that the project was doing what it was supposed to do. Any questions on that? Okay, great. We are moving right along. So what happens after you submit? So basically, we will, as they are submitted, we will review them, make sure that the basic technical requirements are met. Yes, it's a nonprofit. Yes, they're in good standing. We've got the budget information we need. We have all the scope information we need. And then the exact way that we're going to develop the recommendations has not been worked out yet, but it'll be a coordination with the mayor's office to develop a slate of approved projects, proposed projects. And then those will be presented to the local development council in September or early October at the latest for their review. They have a 45-day statutory review period that begins in October. And again, I had mentioned the November agency and grantee Q&A. That'll give the LDC an opportunity to submit questions in writing ahead of time. We'll provide those to you. You can provide written responses that we will then provide to them in anticipation of that meeting. And then we can just have more general discussion between the LDC members. And the LDC, I should mention, Local Development Council is 15 members. It is the senator for which the casino is located. In our case, that's Senate President Bill Ferguson. He is also the chair. There's two delegates, Wells and oh wow, I'm trying to remember who the new one was. It's been Luke Klippinger for the longest time. And then 7 members of residents from our neighborhoods within South Baltimore, and then 4 institutions. And those are all mayoral appointees, with the exception of the Senate member. So they'll review it. They'll provide their input, their feedback, their requests for changes or amendments. The mayor will take that into consideration, and then we will present the full final proposed spending plan for the LDC to vote on, to endorse or not endorse. And then once that's done, then it goes into the normal city process, and we will develop the grant agreements. Grant agreements over $50,000 do have to be approved by the Board of Estimates. So that process will take place in spring and summer, leading up to launch in FY28, also summer 2027. So any questions about what happens after submission? Oh, fantastic. So final awards will depend on review results, project readiness, the amount of funding we have available. Again, we should be closed out of FY26 by that point, in which case we'll sort of know what we call our fund balance is. How much we have to spend, plus how much we project to receive in revenue during FY28. And then, of course, the LDC advisory input, the mayor city council budget approval, and the final city passage of the city budget, and then executed grant agreements, fiscal sponsor agreements, whatever they may be, will be approved by DOP leadership. They go through our normal city internal audit processes, and then the Board of Estimates will be the final okay to execute the grant agreement. Any questions on that? Okay, we are almost done here. Here's the full timeline with all of the steps that are taking place. We are on June 10th. So again, we'll have another round of info sessions in a couple of weeks. The forum will open up. We'll have a couple different days of technical assistance open houses where people can come in and ask questions specifically about how to phrase something or how detailed the budget needs to be, et cetera, et cetera. And then those are our post-submission timeline as well. And this is our contacts and links here. You can, CLIF at baltimorecity.gov, that goes straight to me. It's just a lot easier than trying to spell out my whole name. Then we will have the submission on the portal when it's ready. And then you should have on the CLIF website full list of technical assistance and public info meetings, as well as links to the team meetings for those, as well as RSVPs for the in-person ones if you would like to be fed. I will also soon put language on our website if you are a restaurant or a caterer and would like to participate in providing food for these events. I want to lean into more options from South Baltimore for our catering needs. So that is everything I have to share. Joanna.
First, I just want to say again, we're still looking at the NOFO timeline and next steps. So your last slide we didn't see. Could you speak? I think I saw somewhere in the writing that we would have 24 months to spend the money, starting with that July 1, 2027.
It's generally 12 months.
It's 12 months. Okay.
It's the fiscal year.
Okay.
However, that's not. There'll be language within the grant agreement to extend it if there are extenuating circumstances. Absolutely.
Okay.
We understand things happen and things get delayed and no, we want to make sure that the project happens. We just need there to be some. We've had situations in the past where we have not been clear about when the funds have to be spent by, and it's taken 5, 6, 7 years, and that money's just been sitting there, not being allocated to something else that's more ready. So we would just need, it should be something that's ready to go.
Thank you.
Yep. Any further questions? Comments, things that you feel are not very clear or could use some more explanation? Yes, Aisha.
You did mention that this will be available. Or are you planning to send this slide out to everyone? How will this be available for us to go back to review?
Great question. So I will go ahead and I'm going to post this on the CLIF website. And I'll do that, I think by tomorrow. Yeah, I'll do that by tomorrow. I'm going to review this. I'm going to review this this meeting as well as the one tonight to see what information was missing from the slide that could be added, and then I'll add it in, and then reversion it so everyone knows this is a certain version, and then post it online.
So Chris, I just want to draw your attention that in the NOFO, it says project timeline should be completed within 12 to 24 months after the agreement starts.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, I think that just gave us some wiggle room.
Okay.
Because things do happen, especially with like rec and parks, they're asking for $2 million for something, then that's gonna take a while. Yeah, generally speaking, it should be within the fiscal year. Anything else? All right, well, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have one more question.
That's okay.
I'm sorry that have so many questions and nobody
Oh,
feel
good.
I'm dominating. What about amounts? There's no guidance for what is a reasonable amount, either a minimum or a maximum. Can you give us any guidance on that? Or really, we could put in a $1,000 request and we could put in a $300,000 request?
Right, exactly. I mean, if we get a whole bunch of $1,000 requests for, physical improvements to neighborhoods, again, we may reach out to a administrator who we will have administer those grants. So there is no minimum, there is no maximum. If you want to build a $4 million youth engagement center, put it out there, and we can, we'll consider it.
And do you know the total pool? The pot?
Generally speaking, we have we get about 8.5 million a year in funding. And we did have a very large fund balance from the conservative days after COVID, when the casino was shut down and we weren't sure what was going on. That's largely been spent down, so it's going to be around 8 to 9 million, somewhere in that realm.
And that's solely for CLIF, not to be divided to the South Baltimore Gateway.
Correct. They
Okay.
get about 8.5 also per year.
And then you mentioned healthy neighborhoods will be getting a chunk of that 8.5?
Not necessarily.
Not
They are in
necessarily.
FY26.
I see. Okay.
But moving forward, it's blank slate.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Well, we are right at 1 hour. Perfectly done. Well done. Thank you all so much. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We'll have another info session tonight at the Middle Branch Fitness and Wellness Center, and online from 6 to 8. Petermore will be served. Then again, another one in 2 weeks, that one on a Tuesday. And then we'll also have technical assistance sessions in July. So thank you all so much, and I appreciate you all, and look forward to seeing what projects you want to do this year.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you very much.